All right, Shalom Israel. It's the I.S.U.P.K. Started out at 1 West 125th Street. Then we put these notes.
Maybe let me know.
That's right. Go ahead and ready. All right. We have classes here Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have the radio show on the ends on Friday. We have the Brotherhood class online Tuesday. And we also have the Manchester class at is it 7 p.m. as well? 7 p.m. on Friday. So also remember to check out all of those. Also, Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday 2 a.m. Give me 1 second. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show. Monday, 2 a.m. and Saturday, 2 a.m. That's UK time. So it's a little late our time, but you can always watch it back the next day. So today we're going to go over black culture's offensive to the Queen's English and whatnot. And we've got a few articles to prove it, man. Some recent ones that come out, man, which proves that being black is an offense to this country. Like, this country is always hated us. I mean, today is what? The 10th year that Mark Duggan's been dead, man. The 10th year that Mark Duggan's woman ain't seen him. 10th year that his children ain't grown with him. 10th year that his kids have woke up without a father. 10th year that his family's woke up without him, man. Meanwhile, that police officer's doing what? Enjoying the heat wave, man. He's enjoying the UK heat wave. He gets to take his children for ice cream. He gets to do all them things, man. He gets to enjoy Freedom Day. He gets to buy his children toys and everything. Meanwhile, Mark Duggan's son, Bando K, has to grow up without a father, man. Talking about how much he misses his father. Only black people go through those things. Whereas if a black police officer killed a white man, we know how it would end, man. He would go to jail and he wouldn't near enough get the death penalty, man. He wouldn't be able to walk around freely. And guess what would happen? If the black man didn't go to jail, his white colleagues in the police force would refuse to work with him. They'd refuse to work with him for harming one of their brothers, man. But obviously, you can kill a black man and on the police force, you get accolades. People talk about it like it's a joke. Like it's one of them things that they'll remember in 20 years' time. Yeah, man, you're the good shooter I'm the shooter that killed my dog, man. They'll laugh about it in 20 years' time. Meanwhile, obviously, his children have to grow up without him. But let's start off with Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. Give me 1 second. Start Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. So we're going to start off in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1, man, talking about the serpent.
Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
And this serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, meaning every other race that was there, this one was more subtle than the others. And this man's very subtle, man. So we're going to see what he does and done and what he still does till this day.
Which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, Yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
And this man goes against what God says, man. What God tells black people to do, this man tells you to do the opposite. Now, what God says is bad for you, this man tells you that it's good. God will say to a black man, don't do this. And this man brainwashes you into doing it, man. He brainwashes you into thinking it's good. So everything that's bad, you then now think is good. Why? Because this man's more subtle than any beast of the field. This man's a liar. He's a deceiver. Everything you've been taught not to do your whole life, this man then tells you to do it, man. Like, obviously, since we've been living under this man's rule, everything the Greeks and the Romans do, we now do now. Why? Because this man is more subtle than any beast of the field, and he wants us to follow every culture except our own, man. So he wants us to follow the ways of everything else except what we're supposed to follow. Go ahead.
And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye shall not eat.
So the Lord gave them instructions. Don't do this. And then what happens? This man tells you, oh, do this. This man will tell you, God said, don't eat prawns. Eat prawns, man. Eat one of them. What's this? Them boiled prawns. What's the bag called again? Nah, they used to put it in the bag and it looks disgusting, man. Seafood boil, that's the one. Go have a seafood boil. It's good. That's what he tells you, man. Go eat prawns, shrimp, and everything else, and you get brainwashed and influenced. Why? Because it's more subtle. It's his job to deceive you, man. Anything an oppressor tells you to do, just think, why is he telling me to do this? And is it bad for me and is it good for him? Because everything, everything we do that he tells us to do is bad for us and good for him. And there's a reason why he tells us to do it, man. Because he's more subtle than every beast of the field. He wants you to go against God. Why? Because he wants you to lose your position. He wants to stay on top. He wants to rule over you. He wants to have us oppressed at the bottom. And how do you have us oppressed? By separating us from our God, man. By separating us from our laws. By separating us from our laws, statutes, and commandments. That's how you have us oppressed, man. Read on.
But of the fruit which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye shall not eat, neither shall you touch, lest ye die.
So now what this man does is, what God tells you don't do, this man tells you to do it, and then it makes you feel like you're missing out for not doing it. That's what this serpent's doing right here, man. He makes you feel like you're missing out for not doing something. So what happens? This man tells you celebrate birthdays, tells you let your children celebrate birthdays, and then he convinces you that your children are missing out because you don't get them Christmas presents. Your children are missing out because you don't get them Easter eggs. So before you know it, you start thinking, okay, then that looks good. Them birthdays look good. These birthdays will make me happy. Easter will make me happy. Christmas will make me happy. And before you know it, you go ahead and do it, man. And then you've just basically gone against your God. And guess what? This devil's not going to love you either way, man.
That's right.
Like, everything we've done is tried to love him. We've bended our ways trying to love him. We've done everything to seek his love, and it still didn't work, man. We've had black men that speak the Queen's English, and he still don't love them. Chris Eubank, for example. We've had black men that refuse to speak the Queen's English. He still hates them. This man is going to hate you whether you do it or whether you don't do it, man. Go ahead.
We've got black people that qualify the country to the finals as well.
Still hates us, man. Still hates you. Still hates your culture, man. Even in the Olympics, it's black people winning the medals for the UK, man. Black people winning the medals for the UK. And then what happens? You have to stand on the podium, and they're waving the British flag over you, man. Whereas We should have the right to say, I want to be in the Olympics as an individual. I want to be in the Olympics without the British rule, man. Because all the British do is oppress black people, man. Oppress us. And listen, man, I've been watching the Olympics. I've been at work watching it on iPlayer, man. I got the BBC iPlayer app, man. I've been watching the Olympics, the weightlifting, the sprints, the relays, even the hockey, all of it, man. The hurdles, and I've been watching it, observing. And then when I look who's in the lineup, it's us in all the lineups. Like it's crazy, you know why? Because you're seeing brothers representing France, brothers representing Puerto Rico and Cuba and England and Spain. And guess what? Though we doing all these things, we still ain't got our own country, man. Like it shouldn't be black people racing black people, because we all should be the same country, man. We all should be representing who we are. But obviously they'll never have that, man. So what you got is what you have with the Olympics is colony versus colony, man. That's what it is. What you will have is Spain and their colonies versus Britain and their colonies. That's what it is, man. We a colony of the British. So what would you have? Us running for Great Britain, man. That's how it goes, man. We just colonies of these bigger nations. And then what happens? We be running for them in the Olympics, winning gold, talking about I done this for Great Britain, not realizing Great Britain ain't never done nothing for us, man. Ain't never done a thing for us. But let's read on for time's sake. I don't want to get too carried away.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Listen, man, the Lord tells us if we do certain things, we're gonna die, man. The Lord tells us if we keep smoking, we're gonna die. We keep being drug dealers, we're gonna die. Why? Because the wages of sin is death, man.
That's right.
The wages of sin is death. So Eve's telling this devil, if we do all this, we're gonna surely die. And what's he saying to her? You won't die. And that's what they say today. Oh, don't listen to them ignorant black men on the corner telling you you're gonna die. You ain't gonna die. They're like, don't listen to them ignorant black men on the corner. What do they know? They've only been here something amount of years. They don't know nothing. Don't listen to them. And then you don't listen to us. And then your life starts to go downhill, man. And there's a reason why the Lord put you out there when we was in the city centre or on Brixton High Street. So you could hear us, man. So you could hear what we have to say. But obviously most people don't want to listen, man. Because they feel they know better. They feel the white man's got the answers. They feel, he's been to medical school and he's been to Oxford University and he has all the answers. And the truth is, it don't, man. All the answers is right here in the I.S.U.P.K, man. I know you've heard it so many times, so much that you think it sounds cliche, but we have the answers, man. I'm going to drop that. I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 106. 106 and verse 34. And what this oppressor does is brainwashes us into other cultures. Like with Genesis, it says what they put on they made themselves fig leaves, and that's what they do, brainwash us. So we believe our culture is bad, and then we then put on fig leaves, man. We then put on the other nations' cultures. So then you will find us in what? Every religion there is. Then you will find us in what? Every way of life there is. Why? Because we put on the other nation's culture when we ain't supposed to, man. The Lord gave us a culture that we're supposed to stick with, that we're supposed to have. We don't need to follow nobody else's culture. Just do some research on everybody else's culture and you will see that it's disgusting, man. You'll see that you're the only people whose culture is worth anything. You'll see that you're the only people whose culture is good and is righteous, man. Everybody else's culture is weird and into all kind of sacrifices and into all kind of illicit sex and all kind of eating unlawful foods and all kind of practices, man. They're into all kinds of practices that we would never do as a people. They're into incest and a brother marrying his sister and all of those things. Whereas the Lord gave you laws, man. I said, yo, don't do that, man. And the Lord gave you those things for a reason. A brother and sister ain't supposed to have sex, man. They ain't supposed to have them relations. A man ain't supposed to have sexual relations with his mom, with his aunties, man. But in other cultures, it's allowed. In other cultures, those things is allowed. Whereas when we came out of Egypt, the Lord told us we can't do those things. Why? Because that's what the Egyptians was doing. Read on.
Psalm 106 and 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them.
And the Lord told us, when you go into the land, destroy the nations, man. Get rid of them. Obviously, now you're not going to go harm these nations. Why? Because we ain't supposed to do that, man. But what you are supposed to do is what? Don't join them. Don't do what they do. Don't eat what they eat, man. Don't do the things that they do, because that's their culture and it's not ours. Like, we were supposed to destroy them nations. Read on.
But they mingled among the heathen.
And this is what we do. We mingle among the heathen. And when we mingle among them, guess what happens? They don't ever follow our culture,
That's right.
but we follow theirs. What they do with our culture is steal our culture. They steal it, and then obviously they become the face of it. Like today, man, I read an article. Some woman, some Edomite, she had her last £15. She was a nurse, but she couldn't get paid furlough during lockdown. I believe she was a dental nurse, it said. So during lockdown, she had her last £15. What did she do with her last £15? Brought some ingredients and started to make Caribbean food, man. And people started buying it from her. People started buying the Caribbean. So lucky, I'm see if you can pull it on the thing. Where's my other phone? See, type in her name, and it might come up on the it might come up on the internet. Type in Abby Owens Jack. Stop. No word of a lie. Listen, I read this article on my way to class today, and I was like, wow, damn. Which spells it? ABBIE. Owens Jack Shop. Jack Stop, is it Jack Stop? Yeah. Yeah, that one. No word of a lie in case you think I'm lying, man. This woman here, man. This woman, we're going to screen share it if you think I'm lying. This woman had her last £15 and said, let me go make some Jamaican food. And guess what? People are buying it, man. Listen, look. There she is. She makes curry goat and them things there, man. She makes curry goat. She makes jerk chicken. We're gonna scroll down on the article. This is someone who you let steal your culture, man. Imagine that. Of all the food she could make, why wouldn't she make her own food, man? And the people are always saying, "Oh, you don't need to be Jamaican to make Jamaican food. You don't need to be Jamaican to make Jamaican food." Okay, then why don't I see you buying Chinese off an African man then? You go buy Chinese food off an African man then. If you're telling me you don't need to be, how come when it comes to Jamaican food, you don't have to be part of the culture to make it? But when it comes to every other race, you have to be African in order for. Listen, an African man wouldn't buy food off a white woman. I'm telling you that now. But we will go buy jerk chicken off a white woman, of Abby Owens. Look at that, the jerk stuff. And the thing is this, she's even got the red, gold, and green colors, man. Like she worked it all out. She went from losing her job and realized, you know what, maybe I can make money off them niggas. Scroll down. I think it even showed some of the food. Is it showed on there? No. Listen, man, if you're eating from Abby Owens, man, you don't love your life, man. It's gonna poison you one day, man. And this woman, she started off selling food from her house. Oh yeah, she even made her own sauce. She made her own sauce. The jerk stop. She goes, her secret ingredients is a barbecue sauce. She called it a secret ingredient. So you mean to tell me black people's been cooking Caribbean food for hundreds of years, and some Edomite woman's got some secret ingredients that tops everything. She's got some secret ingredients that tops everything. Listen, man, the bamboozled us and lied to us and defrauded us, man. And this is what happens when we let the heathens come close to us. This is what she said. I went on YouTube and learned some recipes. Guess what? She's making more money than the people she stole the recipe from. The same way she stole their recipe is the same way they steal everything from us, man. Is there a picture on there of there's a picture. She made some patties that look hard as could be. I seen the patties was hard as could be. Probably. You know what? That one was on that one was on a Facebook page. So I seen the name, so I had to type in the name. Is it London or somewhere? So I had to go on Facebook, had to type in the name, and they showed some of her recipes on there. She made rice and peas. Listen, she made corrugated rice with chips. No word of a lie. Listen, I ain't lying to you. You might see it. Like listen, that's meant to be steamed veg. Look, look, see if you can screen share that. Listen, this is meant to be steamed veg. Yeah, put it on because this is a new article that come out today. So look, man, that's meant to be steamed veg. Listen, and that just looks like she just took salad out of the container and just put it on the plate. That don't look steamed to me, man. Look at the menu, man. Look at the menu, man. Let me see her menu. She's got she's got jerk lamb chops with roasted garlic mash. That don't sound you. Do Jamaicans have garlic mash? Do we have that? I don't think we have that. She's got jerk salmon with steaming, hot cheesy pasta and steamed veg, curry goat $8.50, filade $7.50 small, peppered steak, jerk chicken, chicken splits with fries, jackfruit burgers with fries, peppered steak or jerk chicken subs with fries. Then she's got barbecue and jerk wings, £5.50 per portion, mac and cheese $3.50 per portion. She's from Manchester. 0161 Tazarpo. I pray you haven't been there before, so lucky. Tazarpo and Arban. I pray you never go there. She says jerk munch boxes. Ask for details to change your meat selection. Listen. She's even got one called Caribbean Burger, you know. Caribbean Burger. And this woman was just some white woman in Manchester that lost their job and decided she wants to cook food. See if you can find the brown stew. Look, she's got curry goat, brown chicken stew, peppered steak, jerk chicken, patties, dumplings with a G, dumplings. Listen, man, these people steal our culture so much and try and sell us our own food. Like, look at that. What's that supposed to be? See, that's see. And listen, first of all, the rice. Listen, I'm a very good cook myself, so lucky. The rice is too white. She didn't soak the peas overnight. Yeah. She ain't soaked the peas overnight, man. What she's gave you is peas out of the tin. Look at that, man. Look how big the peppers are in there, man. She couldn't even cut them down to a small size. And this woman set up a restaurant, man. And people, look at the patties, man. Look at the patties, man. The patties look like Cornish pasties, man. Those don't look like patties. You tell me that don't look like Cornish pasties? That looks like a Cornish pasty to me, man. And this is what she's selling, man. And how has she got a shop before we have a shop, man? Exactly. And she even took a picture and posted it. What did she know? What's the patties called? She goes, what? Bringing some tasty jerk chicken patties to the menu. Listen, man. These people steal our culture. She did. I don't know what she done. I know she burnt it. All I know is she burnt it. And this woman said she wants to make it to Just Eat and start doing deliveries. Listen, man, these people steal our culture, man. Look at the patty. Look how burnt it is, man. Look how hard the outside is. And they steal our culture. And then they open shops. She's actually got a shop called The Jerk Stop. Like, you would go there thinking, you know what? I'm at a shop. I see Jamaican food while black people's running it. That's what you would do. Think black people's running it until you see her, man. What's her name? Abigail Owens. Abby Owens, man. Selling Caribbean food, man, which is a slap in the face to our grandmas, man, who was cooking and couldn't get no shop. Our granddads who was cooking and couldn't get no shop. This woman's able to set up a whole shop, man, with our culture. She said she used their last £15 and brought some ingredients. So she brought chicken, some seasonings, And you know what's crazy? I read some of the comments on the Facebook, and people were saying it's nice. People was actually saying it's nice. And then you had black people saying in the comments, like, while it is, black people understand certain things, but when they understand they're supposed to come to the I.S.U.P.K, they don't want to come. Like, black people understand that oppress is the devil, and they understand he shouldn't be selling our food, he shouldn't be stealing our culture. They understand that, man. Listen, you must have been at a certain place with a black person where it's just you and them. It's online. Get me? So now you've been to a place where it's just you and a black person. And what do black people always say? I can't stand the chachas. I can't stand this. I can't stand that. And then when you say, well, you should come to the I.S.U.P.K because I agree with you. I can't stand them either. Then they want to backtrack. They want to backtrack and go backwards in life. But we're going to read on in the book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse 34. And when you don't destroy or separate from the nations, the Lord told you to, they then set up chicken shops, man. This woman had the whole menu: brown stew chicken, man. Brown stew chicken, stew beef. She had the whole menu, man. Everything that you would find in these Caribbean shops, she's got it in hers, man. And she's making a killing. This is what she said: the food's usually sold out by 4 o'clock. She said the food sold out by, no word of a lie. In the article, she said the food sold out by 4 o'clock. And she thanks all her customers and people support her. And she's even got the whole setup, the colors. Like, she even used the colors that attract black people. Like, black people see them kind of yellow and red, gold and green. And then obviously with your eyes, because you've been seeing it your whole life, you see that. And then the first thing you think is, oh, Jamaican. And then you go there and she's in there, man. I'd walk straight out, but read on.
They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them.
And the Lord told us to destroy them nations, man. And we didn't. So now Abby Owens has a jerk stop, man. Where she's making a ton of money off of our food. Why didn't she sell her own food, but she sold our food, man? That's what everyone does. They buy it. They buy our food, taste it, and then mimic it and then make their own. Make their own. They act like they're friendly. Oh, can I get the recipe? You give them the recipe, man. Then before you know it, they've done overthrew you and took your space. Don't give your recipes out to other nations, man. If another nation happens to try your food and they ask for the recipe, don't give them the recipe, man. Your recipe is your secret, man.
Right.
Don't give out your recipe, man. Don't share the recipe. Listen, I only share recipes with the brothers in the school, man. They've been asking me for that carrot juice recipe, so look, yeah. I share it, man. But listen, man, I ain't sharing it with no non-Israelites, man. Read on.
But they were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
And we was mingled amongst the heathens, and we learned their works. So by being among them, what did we learn? We learned Christmas. We learned Easter. We learned birthdays. We learned interracial marriage. We learned you can't choose who you love. That's what we learned, man. Amongst these nations, we learned you can't help who you fall in love with. You should love everybody. We learned Jesus is white. Imagine at first Jesus was black. And then now you've joined with these nations and now they've stolen him and made him white, man. The same way they stole your recipe is the same way they stole Jesus Christ, who is a black man, man. It says, and they serve their idols. And what do? We serve their idols with Christians, with Muslims. I can't remember which one was in the middle. Yeah. Nah, it wasn't that. That was more space in the middle than what I remember. Yeah, it was like that. I'm probably at the bottom. Did it? No, to the right. If you look to the right where the thing is. At the top to the right. No, I mean the left. There.
Yeah.
Nah, down where the hole is. Up where the hole is. There. It didn't go there. So we learned their ways, man. And now we've learned their ways. Now what do we do in our community? We love tattoos now, man. We love shaving off our beard. Now we're doing things we shouldn't be doing. So now, because we've been mingled amongst the heathen, We've learned to get tattoos. We've learned to do what they do. We've learned to like what they like. Everything that they like, they've pushed it on us, and now we like it. Now we like it more than they do. Read on.
And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
And their idols is a snare unto us. All these other nations is a snare unto us. Meaning they're there, and we follow them, and we fall into a trap, man. They're a trap unto us. Why? Because when we follow them, what happens? The Lord ain't with us, man. Once we join them, what happens? The Lord ain't with us. So these nations is a snare unto us. Read on. And then now black people are heavy into Valentine's Day. Why? Because we learned that from our oppressors, man, and from these other nations. So now, if you don't get your partner a card and chocolates and take them out on a date and treat your woman like she's the only girl in the world, that nonsense. Who sings that song, "The Only Woman, Girl in the World"? Some nonsense. If you don't treat your woman like that, she's going to leave you, man. That's how it goes, man. If you don't tell her happy birthday, beautiful on her birthday, she's going to leave you, man. Why? Because we've joined the heathens and we've learnt their ways, and they're heavily into Valentine's Day, heavily into birthdays. Whereas if you've got kids with a woman that that's not in the truth or whatever, or you and her just co-parent because you're not together no more, whatever. If you don't turn up to that birthday party, all the good works you've done for that whole year becomes undone, man. Everybody's like, oh my God, because of his new beliefs, he can't even show up to his daughter's birthday party. How's he leaving his 3-year-old daughter alone on her birthday party? And before you know it, you're demonized, man. Before you know it, you're demonized, man. Your woman's cousins probably beat you up next time they see you, man. Probably turn into Debo and beat you up, man. Why weren't you at the party, man? And you're gonna try and explain to them, well, while it is, listen, man. This is how we've become, man. Why? Because we're mingled with the heathens and their ways, man. Like their ways is a snare unto us. Their ways ain't to help us. They give you their ways. Why? Because they don't want you to have your own ways. Let's read on. Yeah, they sacrifice their sons and their daughters unto devils. And we will do that, man. Give our children to Molech. Now, what do? You give them to the Christian church, man. You give them to the choir. You give them to the Catholic church. That's what you do now, man. You sacrifice them, man. You give your kids to a place where they're going to be destroyed in that place. Because why? Men get molested in church. Women get molested in church. Men get molested in Islam. Women get molested in Islam. You give your children up, man, to these false religions, and these religions destroy them, man. Destroy them so bad that all the destruction that's happened to them, once they're adult, they then speak about it, man. And then you behave like you didn't know what was going on. You behave like you didn't know they was getting molested in the name of Christianity, molested in the name of Islam. You behave like you didn't know that these things is happening. These things is happening, man. And it comes out in all these news articles. People come out and speak about these things later in life. It says, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a whoring with their own inventions. And that's us, man. We defiled with our own works, and we go a whoring after these other nations and their gods, man. We go a whoring after these idols and so forth. From there, I'm going to jump to the book of Jeremiah. I'm going to jump to Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. And after, I'm going to get...
Jeremiah 17 and 4. The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron, and with a point of a diamond it is graven upon the table of their heart.
Is that 17:4?
But thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage.
So even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage. And that's us, man. Hold on 1 second, just trying to see if I can find this article real quick. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can write it down. Bear with me 1 second. Mm. All right, let me see if I can find it. Mm. Mm. Hold on. I'm trying to see if this is the right one. Uh, Hold on. This isn't the right one. One sec. Give me 1 second. Uh, Hold on. Not yet. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, go to yeah. Should be able to screenshot. Hold on one second. Let me just go back to it. One second. Let me just go to it. Yes, yeah, you should be able to go to it. All right, this is an article, man. There's a presenter called Alex Scott. So she delivers the on the Olympics. So she does the Olympics. It's a sister. She's a Benjamite. Her mom's I think she said her mom's an Edomite and her dad is a Benjamite from the Caribbean. So she's a sister, and obviously she kind of speaks like a sister. So there's a man that was, I believe he was part of the Labour Party at one stage, and we're gonna read the article, man. That how much they hate your culture, man. How much that they hate you being in the Olympics. How much they hate you presenting their Olympics. So it's BBC Olympics. You got it. All right then. Uh,
BBC Olympics presenter Alex Scott delivers perfect opening line after criticism of her accent.
and this man criticized her accent, man. He criticized her accent while he's watching the Olympics because she delivers the news on the Olympics. Hold on one second. Can I open the next page? Where the, hold on, I from here. Yeah, go ahead.
BBC presenter Alex Scott fired back last night at criticism of her pronunciation of an ex-minister.
And now this man criticized her based on her pronunciation. Why? Because they want black people to speak the Queen's English, man. They want you to speak the Queen's English. And when they realize you don't speak the Queen's English, they find it disrespectful. And this man fired shots at her because of her pronunciation. And this is why everywhere you go, they want you to behave like white people, talk like white people, do everything that white people does. Why? Because they look at you and your pronunciations and be like, where's this nigger think is going speaking like that? So this sister, she don't even speak rough or ghetto like that. But this man took it offensive. Read on.
Then used her morning introduction line to underline her pride in her roots.
And she underlined the pride in her roots, man. That she's proud to be from East London. Because this man was saying, why is she talking like that? And so forth. Afterwards, when we scroll down, we should see what he said anyway, but go ahead.
And deliver a beautiful rebuke at complaints of lack of evolution.
So he's saying this woman's not eloquent in speech, and this woman don't speak right, and why is she speaking for the English at the Olympics? And this man is someone big. This man is like a lord. Read on.
Lord Digby Jones had moaned that coverage of the Tokyo Olympics was being spoiled.
And he said, because of how this black woman talks, the Olympics is being spoiled, man. He couldn't get past it. He couldn't get past it. He goes, she's spoiling the Olympics, man. He said the way she talks, the Olympics is being spoiled. And this is how it always goes, man. When black people speak, nobody likes it. Nobody likes the way you dress, the way you look, the way you speak. Like this man right here had a problem with how she spoke. Like, why? She's not speaking British enough for him. Now, David Lammy, who does speak British enough for him, still got told that it's not English.
That's right.
So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So you rather not. You rather speak. It's like, go ahead. Exactly. So they're gonna hang him by his black bollocks. That's what they said. So now you can speak the Queen's English, and these people still disrespect you anyway. Or you can just speak how you speak, and they still disrespect you anyway. Read on. This man moaned. It said,
moaned that coverage of the Tokyo Olympics was being spoiled by a noticeable inability to pronounce her G's.
This man's petty, man. He goes, she's unable to pronounce her G's. So he's mad at the way she talks. And he goes, what do you say? It's spoiled. Usually someone would look past it and be like, well, you know, that's just how she speaks. This man can't look past it. This man is Lord Digby Jones. And this is why every job interview you go, you have to whiten your resume. You have to speak like you're white. While it is with England, they want you to become white, man. They want you to get rid of your culture. They want you to get rid of what makes you black. They want you, how do I get rid of? Yeah, they want you to get rid of what makes you black, and join. Hold on, why is it not like this? Give me 1 second. Let me just get rid of these podcasts. Yeah, so now they want you to stop being black, and they want you to become like you're a white man. He wants this sister to speak like she's a white woman, and he can't take the fact that she's on TV speaking that blackness, man, because he hates it and he don't like it. She's speaking black, and he hates it, and he goes, it ruined the Olympics. Read on. Actually, let me scroll down to you. Yeah, go ahead.
The G's at the end of a word.
Yeah.
Tweeted out a list of sports ending with a letter which had apparently offended his sensibilities.
So he said the way she speaks offended his sensibilities. Meanwhile, it's Mark Duggan's 10th anniversary of being dead, and that doesn't offend him. It's not offensive that he sees black people being killed, man. But what he does find offensive is her not pronouncing their G's properly. Listen, man, they watch you down to the every last detail and hate everything about you. Go ahead.
Scott quickly resorted on Twitter that she was proud of her upbringing and accent, which was representative of her struggles and success, and encouraged youngsters who may not have a certain kind of privilege in life to not be misplaced judgments on their accent or appearance hold them back.
Hold on, let me see if the next part's on there. Is it? Hold on, is it on there? Yeah, this is what it said. Go ahead. No, this is what he said. So, no. This is what he said, but she's mocking him. So this is what it was mad about. So now she said evening. He wanted her to say evening with the G at the end. So she's like, so far we've been so she would say running, riding, shooting, scoring. This man saying, why ain't she pronouncing her G's? He's saying it's not running, it's riding, it's shooting. So he's being petty like that. And he said she's ruining the Olympics for him, man. He said she's ruining the Olympics for him so much that he went on Twitter, man. He went on Twitter talking about, she needs to learn to speak properly. Read on.
Evening. So far, we've been running, riding.
So now she's mocking him, speaking how she usually speaks. Why? Because this man hates that she speaks that way. And when you look at this man, you can tell that he's a racist who hates black people. He looks like one of them real oppressors, man. Looks like one of them slave masters. Read on.
Swimming and putting but
So now she said swimming. This man wants her to say swimming. So they laugh at black people's pronunciations. They mock you for it, man. They laugh at the way you dress, the way you talk. And that white man said these things. Why? Because he wanted the British public to back his case and be like, yeah, man, we're sick of it too. And then what happens? You then start to speak the Queen's English. Where they say the Queen's English means the standard of the English language. So when people say the Queen's English, they say that English language has a standard. And they say the way that black people speak is beneath the standard. So what we speak, they say it's gibberish. Like what we speak, did you know, like to them, what we speak is not even recognized as a language. So it ain't even recognized as a language. They say it's not recognized, no linguistics or nothing. They say it's not recognized as a language. They say it's awkwardness. That's what they actually call it. Confusing and awkwardness. Read on. Hold on, let's go down. Let's see if there's any more on this one. Nah, that's it. You can drop me at the stream yard. I'll get the next article after. Hold on, where was we? Yeah, take me to. Type, see if you can pull it on there. Type in. Give me a picture of Lord Digby Jones. I'm gonna get you a picture of this man who's telling you that how we speak ain't right. Listen, man, you're telling me this man ain't a racist? Look at him, man. We're gonna put his picture up on the StreamYard. All right, this is him. So this is Lord Digby Jones, that used to be sort of part of the Labour Party or whatever he was, and this is the man that came at the system, man, saying, "Oh, you've ruined the Olympics for me." Listen, man, does this man look like he could do any Olympic sport? How did anyone ruin the Olympics for him? He ruined the Olympics for himself, man. Does this man look like he could do any Olympic sport? Look at him. What sport could he do in the Olympics? It's funny, man. These oppressors got so much to say about us. Ruin the Olympics. Listen, man. It's us who's in the Olympics and he ain't in the Olympics. Let me see his picture again. Like, look at him, man. He looks like Gigante. He looks like Gigante. Looks like. Listen, if you've watched Godfather of Harlem, man, you don't think he looks like Gigante Chin. He looks like Chin Gigante, man. If you watch Godfather of Harlem, what's his name, Vincent? Listen, man, it looks like Gigante, man. And this man's trying to tell us speak better than that and all this nonsense. And what do? We try and seek their love, man. Give me Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 33. We seek their love, and in seeking their love, they don't ever love you back, man. Now, this sister didn't seek their love, but there's men who have seek their love, man. Is it 233? Yeah, I believe it is.
Jeremiah 2:33. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love?
And Chris Eubank Jr., no, not Jr., his father, Chris Eubank Sr., he trimmed his ways to seek love, man. He spoke in the Queen's English. He speaks better English than white people do, man. And they still let him know that he's a nigger, man. Right. David Lammy speaks better English than white people do, and they still let him know that he's a nigger, man. And we seek their love. We trimmed our ways, man. We got these mohawk haircuts, man. We got mohawks and all these haircuts. We dress like them, man. We dress like that. we dress like that white gang, the modifiers, the mods. That's what they used to call them, the mods. That used to just take drugs and speed in parties. Like the origin of drug overdoses in the UK comes from them, man. Most of them died in their like 20s. Why? Because they'd take pills and pop pills and be jumping up and down to the rock and roll, and they'd be sweating profusely, and their eyes was wide, and they was dropping dead, man. Most of them is dead now. even though that gang rose up in what the 50s, the 60s. You had the punks, you had the punk rockers and the modifiers, and they had beef with each other, man. I believe the punk rockers used to ride what's them bikes that them devils ride, man? Them devils angels ride. What's them Hellcats? Harleys. So the punk rockers used to ride the Harleys, and the modifiers used to ride the mopeds, and they used to have beef with each other, man. And the punk rockers used to call the modifiers gay boys based on how they dressed, because they were dressed modern. So that's where it comes from: modifiers, modestists, and all this nonsense. So they would have beef with each other, and they would fight and go to war, man. They would go to war and kill each other. This is white and white crime, bearing in mind. And guess what? Most of them didn't go to jail, man. They said, "Oh, don't worry, the middle class white boys that are just finding themselves." They said they're finding themselves. Meanwhile, they was the original thugs of the United Kingdom, man. While we just came here to work, they was fighting over rock music and over rock bands, and they used to make diss songs towards each other. They're banning the baby from performing. Meanwhile, these punk rockers used to make diss songs calling the mods gays as well. They used to call the mods gays, and they didn't get banned from no festivals. They didn't get banned from. They had a big festival where they had like a 4-day fight. It was fighting for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember what the fight was called, but they had a big fight for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember where it was. It was in. It will come back to me, but it lasted 3 or 4 days. It was stabbing each other and so forth. Where was the fight now? Oh, where was the fight now? I can't remember. It will come back to me. Read that part one more time.
Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love?
And we've trimmed our ways to seek love, man. We've trimmed our ways for so long to seek love. And in trimming our ways, guess what? They still disrespect you, man. They still don't love you back. They're never going to love you back. Why? Because they hate us, man. They hate everything about us. They hate the way you speak. They hate your culture. Listen, man, I got another article that I need to pull, man. I read this article. I read this on my way to the school as well. So lucky, listen, don't be reading and driving. I was parked up, by the way, for anyone that was reading and driving. I was, just parked up, drinking a hot chocolate in the car, man. Browsing the news as I often do. Sometimes, I like to pull over and read the news. I was reading the news, and there's all these articles. I said, well, damn, I need to bring this article out in class, man. But for time's sake, give me a 2nd Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1. So now we're in the book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 1.
Not long after this, the king sent an old man to Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the law of their fathers.
To do what?
Depart from the law of their fathers.
And they sent a man to Athens where we was to make us do what? Depart from the law of our fathers. And that's what they want you to do right now, man. They want you to depart from the law of our fathers. They want you to part from your culture. They want you to part from your dress code. They want you to part from your slang, from the way you talk. They want you to depart from all of those things, man. Because they don't want no blackness in England, man. They want, you see all this blackness that you've got. They would rather it not be in England. They would rather it not be in their mother country. This country is too holy for your blackness. That's what they're basically saying. This country is too holy for your slang. And they want you to depart from what your fathers gave you, man. Read on. So actually, we got enough pocket for actually, I can pull it up on here. Yeah, I'll put it up on here.
And not to live after the laws of God.
And what?
Not to live after the laws of God.
Not to live after the laws of God, man. That's what they want. You to live not after the laws of God. They want you to do what? Hold on one second. Yeah, you can go ahead.
And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem.
And that's what they want to do, man. They wanted us to pollute the temple in Jerusalem. And today, how do they do that? They do that now. Give us Christianity, man. They want to pollute the truth that we have and give us Christianity. They want to pollute this truth, man, and turn this into the GOCC, man. That's what they want. That's how you pollute the temple of God, man. By turning the truth into GOCC, man. By turning the truth into what your oppressors can join. Read on. Listen, man. I think that man, that old man that came to Athens, went to the GOCC, man. That's what I believe, man. Because whatever they're teaching now ain't what was taught to them. Read on.
And to pollute the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter.
And to what?
Call it the temple of Jupiter.
And they wanted to change the name, man. They didn't want to call it that. They wanted to call it something else. Go ahead.
Olympias, and that in garrison of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwell in the place.
Go ahead.
The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people.
And it was sore and grievous to the people, man. Why? Because what they was used to, they're seeing it slowly die out, seeing it slowly taken away, man. Imagine you got your culture and you're seeing your culture slowly being taken away and replaced with something else that you know is not your culture, that you know you're not supposed to follow, that you know you're not supposed to be like. Of course, you're going to be sore and it's going to be grievous. Read on.
For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles.
And the reveling was how they used to have all them homosexual Greek parties, man. Reveling today is like your gay parade parties, man. Everyone high off drugs, doing disgusting acts. That's reveling, man. Like what people like to do is they will try and say to you, if you go to a club today, that's reveling. Whereas reveling back then partying back then ain't what partying is now. Back then, everyone's near enough butt naked, popping pills, doing drugs, having orgies. That's what they was doing back then. Now you go into a nice little bar, you ain't having no orgies in the bar or whatnot. So it's not what it is now. That's what reveling was back then. Read on.
By the Gentiles who daily dallied with harlots.
That's what's mentioned in harlots, man, because there was what? Having sex with prostitutes and everything, man. There was paying women for sex. They had red light districts and all them things back then, man. Go ahead.
And had to go with women within the circuit of the holy places.
And the holy places, man. They're having sex with women and whores and all these things in the holy places, defiling these places. Go ahead.
And besides, brought in things which were not lawful.
And they brought in things which were not lawful. And that's what they do today. Bring in so much things that is not lawful to get us to do them things, man. They bring in so much things which is not lawful. And then we then follow and do them things. We then say, hey, that seems cool, man. Let us do that also. Read on.
The altar was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth.
Which the law forbiddeth. Go ahead.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days.
And they changed it. It wasn't lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath, man. Why? Because they wanted you to forget your culture. So what did they do? Tell you can't keep your Sabbath days, you can't keep your feast days. Teach your children not to keep them also. So what will happen? Your children will do what? The things that the Greeks was doing, man. Start to have sex with harlots. Start to do things which is unlawful. Because they've just grew up and this is the normal. So when they're trying to get rid of your culture, what do they do? Bring in disgusting stuff and force it on you. And then over time, you might not do it, but when you die off, your children will do it. Why? Because they've been exposed to it and been seeing it growing up. So it's very so it's very important to be in charge of what your children watch, what your children do and whatnot. Why? Because they're being brought up where two men being together is normal, where two men being together is taught in schools, and they're protected and they're loved by everybody. So it's very important that you teach your children what they're trying to get you to not teach your children. They're trying to teach you that it's okay for two men to be together. And then you're saying, nah, when I was born, that wasn't the norm. But for your children, they've been born into it like it's normal. And then if they ain't taught otherwise, they're going to believe it's normal. Read on.
Or ancient fasts, or to profess himself to be a Jew.
Or to what?
Profess himself to be a Jew.
Or to profess himself to be a Jew, man. meaning you couldn't even profess yourself as being a Jew. They tried to get rid of you being black, man. No longer could you say I'm an Israelite. No longer could you say I'm a Jew. You then became I'm Caribbean. I'm African American. Because what it is, my my mom's coolie. That's why my hair's like this. And my dad's got some Irish in him. And yeah, because the freckles, you see these freckles and these dimples. Listen, man, that's what we do now, man. We want to be everything but who we are, man. We don't want to be Israelites, man. We want to be everything but that. We want to say, yeah, because what it is, I'm Jamaican Indian. I'm this Indian. I'm mixed with this. I'm mixed with that. And we've been broken down to think, yo, being black is a bad thing. So much that near enough everyone you ask tells you that, oh, I'm mixed with this. Like they don't want to just say, yeah, my mom's black, my dad's black. Why? Because it sounds boring. It don't sound fun. It don't sound interesting. Go ahead.
And in the day of the king's birth, every month they brought a bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices.
And then they would bring sacrifices, man. These is the things that they would do. Go ahead.
And when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
Drop that for time's sake, but we're gonna get the article. There's an article. Type in Daniel Foster, Carphone Warehouse. Daniel Foster, Carphone Warehouse. All right, what's the question? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Revelation 9 and 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, and saith to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great Euphrates.
Go ahead.
And the fourth angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year.
And this just means a certain amount of time. So that's all that means, a certain amount of time. So now when it said loose them, that just means to cause destruction and havoc and whatnot. Go ahead.
To slay the third part of men.
And what is this question?
Who is the third part of men?
Oh, well, the third part of men is just a third part of men that the Lord wants to be killed in this destruction. So the third part of men would be men who don't repent and whatnot. But you can't say that this, you couldn't specifically say this is such and such. So the third part of men just means a number of men, like the third part of men. That's all that means, really. So it doesn't literally. People try and equate this with the 2/3, but this is just saying kill a third part of men. So say for instance, if let's say there's about 20 men there, how much would the third part of men be? Basically, just means kill a number of men. The third part of men. Read on. That was it. So yeah, that's what that's talking about. Kill a number of men, a third part of men. It's not literally talking about any men in specific, and it's not talking about a number of men in specific, because we don't know how much men is there to begin with. So it just says to kill a third part of men. Because when you read on in Revelations, it says the Lord gave them signs and they didn't repent. And instead of repenting, they cursed God. So all these things is happening. So why? The brothers who don't die, they can see these things happening, their destruction coming near, and be like, you know what? It's time for me to turn back to God. But what happened is men didn't turn back to God. Men would rather curse God and say, oh, this God giving me all these boils. I can't stand this God making my life hard. So they curse God, and then men have to die. So it just says a third part of men. So this, just bear in mind that this ain't all at one time. Because when you read before, it said what months, years, and whatever to do damage and whatnot. So people are going to be dying over a period of time. So that's what it's talking about. A third part of men is going to die. So I can say that again. Yeah, like COVID-19. Like with COVID-19, there's a certain number of people that's going to die from it. There's some people that's going to have it and recover, and there's a part of men who's going to die from it. But we can't say who is going to die from it and who is going to recover from it, because there's some men that get COVID-19 and don't self-isolate. They go to every single party. And then there's some men that get COVID-19 and they end up in comas and end up losing their battle. So it just says a third part of men is going to die from the destruction when the Lord looses them angels, because that's their job, to do what? Wreak havoc and cause destruction. So just a third part of men. A number of men is going to die from it, but it's not a specific number. So you can't say it's like 200 men because it's not a specific number. It's just letting you know a lot of men is going to die from it. That's all that means. Yeah, the angels were plagues. Who was in control of the plagues? Go ahead. You can read
Verse 20. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues.
And the rest of the men that were what?
Not killed by these plagues.
Go ahead.
Yet repented not.
Did what?
Yet repented not.
So the men that wasn't killed by the plagues, they didn't repent. So the Lord sent the plagues. Why? So a number of people could die, and the other men were supposed to repent off of seeing the destruction. Like COVID-19 is a plague which is sent by the Lord. The Lord sends angels to send these plagues. A number of men have died from COVID-19, and tons of people ain't repented. You know why? Because Rastafarians are still smoking weed. They know that COVID-19 messes with your lungs and you're not going to be able to breathe. But Rastafarians are still passing the sensimile on the left-hand side, which lets you know ton of men ain't repented. Read on. Is there no more about it?
Not for the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols and silver and brass.
And they were still worshipping idols and whatnot. So after that third part of men, more men have to die. Why? Because people just ain't repenting. People just ain't listening. How much people died from COVID-19? Over 100,000, they said. About. That was ages ago as well. That was a year ago. It was 100,000. So imagine how much more have died. Why? Because we don't repent. So yeah, the third part of men is just a number of men. So that's what it's talking about. Where was we? Yeah, give me a Daniel Foster Coffin Warehouse. So this is an article that came out today, I believe. So yeah, we're gonna read this one. This is another article that might be good to just save, that you can use. Further showing that these Edomites hate everything black about you. So yeah, we're gonna read this article.
Black cardboard warehouse worker sacked over unsuitable accent.
Hold on, it was what?
Sacked over unsuitable accent.
This worker was sacked over unsuitable accent, meaning when you go to work, you have to whiten yourself down, man. You have to become like an oppressor. Read on.
Wins discrimination case.
He won his case, man. Because why? He was wrongfully sacked. Because he's black. And when you're black, you speak a certain way. And they don't like the way black people speak. Read on.
Daniel Foster was sacked.
Yeah, all these proper blockers. So this is an article I was reading in the car, man. I was reading it probably 2 hours before I came to class, man. And this article was like, oh, damn. I said I better bring it out in class. But, go ahead.
Daniel Foster was sacked after his employment told him not to speak to Kensington residents in the same way he spoke to the people from Brixton.
He was told what?
Not to speak to Kensington residents in the same way he spoke to people in Brixton.
Imagine this manager told him, don't speak to Kensington residents the same way like you speak to people in Brixton, because they're saying people in Brixton is ghetto and who cares how you speak to them. But people from Kensington is what mostly white people, mostly rich white people, because it's nice and posh, and the houses up there is like $1 million plus. They told Daniel Foster, don't speak to white people how you do black people. And this is why, if you've ever noticed, when you're a black person or Hispanic and you go to Tesco or Asda or somewhere and the cashier is some young Asian or whatnot, what do you see him do? Like with the white woman in front, he says, thank you, madam, have a good day. And then when it comes to you being served, he's like, yes, yes, blood, you want a bag? He's like, yes, yes, blood, you want a bag? He speaks to you like, he can speak to you anyhow, man. And they all do it, man. You listen, especially in the ghettos, if you go into these East Indian shops, they try and speak like you, man. When the Benjamites is in there, they try and speak patois to them. Man. One time I went in some shop and the East Indian man tried to speak patois to me, thought it was funny, man. And I stood there with a straight face. And I think he realized he don't like it, man. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful, man. They try and speak patois to what? Women our grandma's age, and they think it's funny. How about I start speaking Urdu to their grandmas, man? How about I start speaking Punjabi to their grandmas? They ain't gonna like it. Read on.
A young black car phone warehouse worker was sacked from a branch in London's posh Kensington.
And they sacked him because he's in a posh area, and they don't want niggas working in posh areas, man. You try to get a transfer to a posh area, you ain't gonna be in that job long. Read on.
After being told that the way he spoke didn't suit our clientele.
Imagine that you're a black man and you're just speaking how you speak, and they're saying the way you speak doesn't suit their clientele. That's some racist shit. So it's like, excuse my French. That's a racist, man. The way you speak don't suit their clientele. Why? Because this country hates everything about black people and black people's culture so much that if you speak in a certain way, they pull you to the side and say the way you speak don't suit our clientele. Go ahead.
He won a racial discrimination claim.
He won a what?
Race discrimination claim.
Listen, man, for a black man to win anything, you know he must have been in the right with proof and evidence. Hopefully he gets a ton of money, man. Hopefully he actually gets the car phone warehouse, man. Read on. And listen, man. When they want us to follow, do this contract and that contract, they tell you everything they want to hear, man. But really, they hate the way you speak. They hate everything about you, man. They mock the way we talk, the way we walk, the way we speak. Read on.
Daniel Foster was 22 and the only black worker at the branch when he was dismissed after working just 3 shifts.
He was the only black person there, and it was dismissed after 3 shifts. And this is why most of the time you walk into a job and you think the manager don't like me. Maybe I'm just doing everything wrong. The manager doesn't like you because you're black, man. Right. Because of this color of your skin, because of how you talk, because of how you walk. Because they want you to bend your ways and become a white man and speak to their clientele in a certain way. Whereas this brother, he's speaking how he usually speaks, man. She goes, and that's racist, man. Don't speak to Kensington people like how you speak to people from Brixton. How racist is that, man? And the reason this manager said that is because she knows Brixton is what? Mostly a black area. Listen, man, if he punched the manager in the mouth, you couldn't wrong him. But obviously he shouldn't, because why? You know how these other races are, the antagonists, and then they will cry and get you sent to jail, and then your whole point would be missed. Then he would have never won this case. So he done the right thing by taking it higher up and taking it to the tribunal. Because usually they expect black people to fly off the handle because they antagonize us. And then when we fly off the handle, this is why we shouldn't have no black people working here because they're so violent. This brother done it the right way. Read on.
But I like Nora about that.
Probably an East Indian woman. Probably an East Indian woman like Priti Patel that thinks she's white. Probably one of them ones.
He was fired after being told he couldn't speak to customers from Kensington in the same way he spoke to people from Brixton.
I mean, so you mean to tell me people from Brixton deserve to be spoken to like garbage? So you mean to tell me black people don't deserve to be spoken to respectfully? So you can speak to black people like garbage, but when it comes to people from Kensington, you speak to them with respect. This is the racism in England that nobody wants to talk about, man. She called out a whole borough of Brixton, man. Said, yo, don't speak to people from Kensington like you do in Brixton. Listen, man, this is what we need to do. How about we decide to love the black people in Brixton and not the white people in Kensington, man?
That's right.
That's what we need to do. Love the black people in Brixton and not the white people in Kensington. The same way she's saying you can't speak to people in Kensington like how you do in Brixton. That means I've got the right to love the people in Brixton, man, and dislike the people in Kensington. I've got that right, man. Because she's saying it's okay to speak to black people like garbage. Okay, maybe I want to do things in reverse and speak to black people like royalty and speak to people from Kensington like garbage. And if she ain't wrong, I ain't wrong. Read on.
And that he had to adapt how he spoke.
And that here to what?
Adapt how he spoke.
That's what they want black people to do. Adapt how they speak, man. They want you to adapt how you speak. And listen, man, we ain't going to do that. Go ahead.
To the customers' convenience.
So now, you better speak properly to these customers, man. You better speak to these customers with respect. You better speak to these rich white folks of Kensington with respect. Read on.
And Adibala told him he needed to take account of more affluent shoppers, saying the way you speak is very abrupt and not suitable to our clientele.
Listen, man, they said the way you speak is abrupt. They think black people speak that way, man. Everything you say, they don't like it. Everything you say, they say, oh, you're aggressive, you're violent, you got no people skills, you don't know how to speak. They want us to speak like them. They want us to try and speak like Chris Eubank. And when you do speak like Chris Eubank, they don't love you anyway. So you know what? I'm just going to keep speaking the way I speak, man. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm going to keep speaking black, man. I'm going to keep speaking like a black man, just like what I am. Read on.
And employment tribunal ruled that he had directly discriminated against Foster on the grounds of race on 3 occasions, including being aggressive towards him.
Listen, man, this woman was aggressive towards the black man, man. Now, if he punched her in the mouth, he would have got the blame for everything. Meanwhile, she's aggressive towards him. He done it the right way by going to the tribunal. Read on.
On their first shifts together, Foster worked in a sales post at Carphone Warehouse on Kensington High Street. The tribunal heard Miss Abdallah and Foster worked shifts together in September 2019.
And that road right there is where the shop is. That's Kensington. So that's the Carphone Warehouse. And that's like what? I ain't from London, but from what I know, Kensington is, I believe someone from London in the comments, let me know. Is Kensington posh? Is it a nice area? Is it a black area? Someone online, let me know what Kensington's saying, because, you know, I'm from Birmingham, where I ain't too sure about Kensington and them places. Read on.
Foster arrived and clocked in at noon when his shift started, but had cycled in and was out of breath and sweating and so not immediately ready to start.
So, you know, he was late to work. And being a black man, how dare you be late to work, man? In their mind, you're a slave, man. You ain't allowed to be late to work. Being a black man, you ain't allowed to be out of breath also, man. You better work and work and work. You can't be out of breath. You can't have mental issues. You can't be mentally weak. There's nothing you can do, man. You can't pull out of the Olympics because, you know, you're not in the right headspace. Because they don't allow you to, man. Because, you know, you're meant to be a robot. You're meant to be a robot with, you know, with no feelings and no emotions. Read on.
The panel heard Mrs. Abdallah greeted him on the floor, saying, "Why are you so late?" in a hostile tone.
And she was hostile towards the brother, man. And this ain't nothing new. You've been at your slavery and your manager's hostile towards you, man. We've all been there. And you're thinking, what have I done? How can I improve my work relationship with this manager? And the thing is, you can't because of the color of your skin, man. It's the color of your skin why it's horrible to you. So you can't improve your work relationship, man. Read on.
And required him to complete a late form. Employment judge Tamara Lewis said Miss Abdallah jumped on him in an aggressive manner regarding his lateness at the very start of their first shift together.
And she jumped on him, man, for his lateness. Listen, man, we've all been there. Somebody else is late, another race is late, and it's oh, don't worry about it. When you're late, you're on your final warning. I remember one time years ago, man, one manager said to me, he goes, your days here are numbered. That's what he said. He's like, your days here are numbered. I was thinking, well, damn, over that little thing. And listen, man, that's how they treat you, man. Like garbage. You know when they treat you like garbage? Because in their mind, every black person's from Brixton, and every white person's from Kensington. No matter where you are in the world, you're looked at as you're from Brixton. And white people are looked at as nice and posh and sweet and from Kensington. Read on.
This is more than an ill-advised way to start an employment relationship.
There you go. If a man's late, you just ask him, is everything all right? Don't worry about it. It's his fair shift. This woman is treating him like, and this is how you know slavery didn't really end in 1834, man. Like they say, they're getting ready to celebrate what Independence Day down here. They usually have it in August. Independence Day, we ain't independent, man. This man is very still much up in our life. He don't allow you to be independent. That's all his landmarks is what? Still in your country. This is why he's got a place called Manchester in your country, man. A Church of England in your country. Why? Because he still rules over you, man. And he lies under the pretense of, independence. And then you feel like, this man ain't that bad because he gave us our independence. You should have never, ever, ever have had to get independence from him in the first place. He should have never, ever been in a position to give you independence about his being good to us. This man is the answer to all our problems. Read on.
Shortly before the end of the shift, after Mr. Foster had mentioned he had no break, Miss Abdallah told him to go home early.
Imagine this man was meant to have an hour break and he didn't get a break. She told him to go home early. Go ahead.
Mr. Foster said there was 50 minutes left, but his break should be an hour.
Imagine she told him go home 15 minutes early and he didn't have a break, but his break should have been an hour. So how does that work? Basically, this man is worked 45 minutes for free, man. He worked 45 minutes for free. Even on minimum wage, 45 minutes is like what? £8? About £6, £7? About £6, £7. So he worked all that for free, man. Read on.
The tribunal heard Miss Abdallah, who was with a customer about 2 meters away, shouted across to him aggressively. You do realize I'm the one that's paying you.
Imagine that. She shouted at him like, you do realize I'm the one that's paying you. She said it like she runs Carphone Warehouse, man. She said it almost like she owns Carphone Warehouse. And this is how they speak to you. You do realize I'm the one that's paying you. Imagine that, man. You go to work to make money for your family, and then people's treating you like that. Of course, you're going to be angry, man. Of course, there's going to be a breakdown in your relationship when you come home, man. You're being treated like that all day, especially if you're not in the truth. You're being treated like that all day at work. You're going to come home and check your rib, man. Your rib's going to say, how was work today? Don't effing ask me no questions about work. That's what you're going to say, man. Why? Because you know you can't take it out on the manager because you're losing money. So you come home and you take it out on the very person that loves you. The very person that's in your corner, you're going to take it out on them. Why? Because obviously we don't know how to express our anger. So what do? We're passive aggressive with it and take it out on people who don't need it, man. And this is why we take out our anger on each other when our anger shouldn't be diverted to each other, man. Read on.
Then she pointed to the bins and told him to take them out.
She did what?
Pointed to the bins and told him to take them out.
She pointed to the bins and told him to take them out. This man's job ain't to take out bins. His job is to sell phones, man. And she's making him take out bins. At these slavers, it's like they still think you're a slave, man. They still think you're a slave and they can oppress you and speak to you anyhow. That's why at this job, she's telling this man to take out bins. Now, if he threw the bins at her, I can't say I blame him. I can't say I blame him. Even though he shouldn't, he should go down the proper channels. Read on.
After which he could clock out and go home.
So she said, take the bins out, and then you can clock out and go home. As to say, you ain't going home until you take the bins out. And this man's just come there to work, and that's how she's treated him. Read on.
Employment Judge Lewis added, the words you do realize in that context sound hostile. She was negative towards him throughout the first day. They worked together, repeatedly citing and saying he was not helping her.
Read on.
Ms. Abdallah conducted a final review meeting with Foster about a week later, at which he was dismissed.
And she dismissed him, meaning in her mind, she wanted to dismiss him a long time ago, man. From the first time she seen him, she knew, okay, then he's black. Let's get rid of him. And that's what they do. Usually, for the most part, from your CV and whatnot, they can't tell if you're black or not. Because, they see the surnames and it's their surname that we've got. So they can't tell if you're black or not. If you've got the surname Williams or whatnot, you could potentially be a white boy. And they realize you're black. And the reason their surnames is Williams and your surname is Williams is why? Because they was your slave masters. So we've got our slave master surnames till this day. So on a CV, when they see your name, they're just thinking you're one of their brothers. Until you come to the interview and they see that you're black, and they have to fake like they care about you in the interview, and they have to go through with the interview, and then they say, sorry, you haven't got the job, we found a more suitable candidate. And it wasn't because of your credentials, it was because of the color of your skin, and it was because England is the most racist country in the world, man.
That's right.
England is the most racist country in the world. Listen, if we're talking about racism, I would say England's number one for racism, man. There's so much things which is so racist in the UK that you've been dealing with it your whole life that it doesn't seem racist because it's just normal to you. But all of these things on the job, this is racist, man. And we don't see it. All of this black woman can't pronounce her G's properly. She's ruining the Olympics. That's racist, man. England is very racist with its mouth, man. England is verbally abusive and very racist, man. And they say things without a second thought, and it just gets swept under the rug. Meanwhile, the baby gets cancelled for saying a few words. Read on.
She told Mr. Foster how he spoke was not suited to our clientele.
She said the way you speak ain't suited to our clientele. It's too black. Read on.
She said, as people, we have to flex according to the people you meet. For example, if I'm in Brixton store, it'll be different to here.
See, that's racist, man. She said to him, if, for example, if I'm in the Brixton store, meaning she's named the black his place, man. She named the black his place and said, if I'm in the Brixton store, now in Birmingham, that's like saying if I'm in Handsworth. What makes you think the brother lives in Brixton, man? That's racist, man. She's saying that black people live in Brixton and you can speak to them anyhow because, they ain't smart. And just speak to them how you want to speak to them. Read on.
It'll be different to here where we have more affluent customers.
What does that mean? We have more affluent customers. I want to ask her, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by affluent customers? I mean, that devil that I see begging me for money at the traffic lights, is he an affluent customer? The man that I see in town bent over like a zombie because he's been smoking mamba. Is he an affluent customer? That's what I would have asked. I would have said the man that was living in caves, is he the affluent customer you're talking about? I say, is this the man you're talking about? About affluent customer. So what is black people? Read on.
And international customers. The only example Miss Adela gave Mr. Foster was when he would say bank card and name instead. Can I have a look at your bank card? Miss Abdallah wrote to Foster on December 2019, confirming his dismissal, saying it was based on failure to meet required levels of performance and failure to demonstrate the
meaning he didn't act white enough, man. Meaning he didn't become white enough. Meaning he didn't speak, dress, act, behave white enough, man. Read on.
the correct attitude and behavior throughout your probation. Mr. Foster wrote to HR complaining about his dismissal.
Right, the thing is, you don't want to go to work to be belittled, man. You want to go to work and you want to, you don't want to be stressed out at work because of a manager bullying you, man. Because of people making your life terrible. You're there to just earn your wage, man. Nobody deserves to treat nobody like that, man. But these oppressors will do that, man. These other races will do that, man. Read on.
Mr. Foster wrote to HR complaining about the dismissal on the 1st of October 2019. He said his newly appointed manager had discriminated against him on a personal level.
And she discriminated against him on a personal level because he's black. Go ahead.
And
mocked him, man. Go ahead.
And treated him like scum.
And treated him like scum. And that's why she mentioned Brixton. Because she treated him like scum. Why? Because she treats every black person like scum. Read on.
Employment Judge Lewis said it was not clear why customers should be treated differently in Brixton.
Exactly. That's what I want to know. Why should customers from Brixton be treated different? Why? I thought we was all humans, man. I thought we was all one race. I thought we was all one people, man. But you're telling me customers from Brixton should be treated different to customers from Kensington. And this is why there's such a big divide, man. People say that, we separating people. They're separating people, man. They separated Kensington from Brixton. They're doing the separation, man. And then they want to blame us. That's fine, man. Let them stay in Kensington and we'll stay in Brixton, man. Tell them they don't ask us for nothing. We won't ask them for nothing, man. We'll be just fine by ourselves, man. And let them stay in Kensington. And then they're going to be begging us for help. And we're going to say no. Read on.
He said, we find that a reasonable tribunal could infer in the absence of an explanation that the comment about the way Foster spoke to customers was direct race discrimination.
And you know what? The Lord gave every race their own, like, give me Genesis chapter 10 and verse 20. The Lord gave every race their own culture and their lingo, man. Gave them their own language and so forth. And this man doesn't want you to want to allow you to have your own. He wants you to have what? His one, man. Let me know when you get that.
Genesis 10 and 20. These are the sons of Ham after their families.
So these are the sons of Ham after their families. Go ahead.
After their tongues.
After their what?
Tongues.
Meaning what, man? Ham was speaking their own languages, man. They had their own culture and their own languages. And the Lord gave us ours. Jump to 31. So Ham was doing what? Ham, after his families, had their own languages. Why? Because the Lord gave every nation their culture, their tongues and whatnot. Before, obviously, these like unified it to one language. But read on. Yeah, 31.
These are the sons of Shem after their families and after their tongues in their land and their nation.
And listen, man, the sons of Shem, after their families, they had their tongues and their lands, meaning the Lord gave us different cultures, different lingo, different everything, man. Give me Genesis 11 and 1.
And the whole earth was of one language.
And now, that's what the white man wants this day, man. The Lord gave everybody their own language and their culture. And this white man wants the whole earth to be of one language, man. And of one speech, one understanding, man. That's what he wants. He wants everyone to say the same things, live the same way, do the same this. This is why he's mad at you when he sees part of your black culture poking out, man. When he sees some of your black culture poking out, he's mad at you, man. Because why? He wants the whole earth of one language and of one speech. And as long as you're speaking different to him, he ain't unified the earth. He wants this whole earth unified under white rulership, man. He can't have your blackness showing, because then other people might see your blackness and like it. He wants this whole earth of one language and of one speech. Pull me up the definition of received pronunciation, because that's what the proper term is called, received pronunciation. So yeah, go ahead.
Received pronunciation.
So this is what received pronunciation is. So instead of calling it Queen's English, the proper term would be received pronunciation. So this is what white people like to say, they speak and what they speak. So it's called received pronunciation. Go ahead.
Is the instantly recognizable accent often described as typical British.
Go ahead.
Popular terms for this accent, such as Queen's English.
So now, received pronunciation is the Queen's English. So when people say speak the Queen's English, they're insulting you, saying, yo, you're not speaking properly. So that's what received pronunciation is, the Queen's English. And they say that black people don't speak received pronunciation. So pull me up the definition of patois. So now they say we don't speak received pronunciation, which is the Queen's English. So now just remember that received pronunciation means the standard language of the English and speaking good and perfect. And this is what they say that you speak.
Patois, the dialect of a particular region, especially one with low status.
Especially one with what?
Low status.
And they say that they speak the Queen's English, and what you speak is what people with low status speak, man. And that woman looked at that brother in Carphone Warehouse and understood the way he speaks. This is a man of low status, man. They look at how we speak as low status. Read on.
In relation to the standard language of the country.
And listen, man, we in low status of the standard of the country. So what we speak is low standard. And this is why they don't want you in their jobs. Now pull me up the pull me up the meaning of, actually type it in, P-A-T-O-I-E-R, the root word of patois, the old French word of where it came from. P-A-T-O-I-E-R. And this is the root word of patois. So this is what it really means. Yeah, old French comes from the etymology. This is the right one.
Old French patois comes from Germanic.
Nah, go there. Go back. I don't believe it's the right one. Nah, it's not that one. No, it's not that one. Go back. Click on etymology in Old French. Try that one. Is it that one? No, it's not. Is that the same thing? No, go back. No, it's not that one. Scroll down. Hold on, let me see. How did you spell it? Just type in the word without typing in Old French. Just type in P-A-T-O-I-E-R. Kind of, but there's another one where it tells you, yeah, Uncle Clumsy. Yeah, just read that one. You can just read that one.
Originally meaning rough.
So now, what you speak, this is what they call it. So the word originated in, it's an old French word. So go ahead.
Rough, clumsy.
Meaning what you speak is considered clumsy. So the dialect of patois that you speak is considered rough and it's considered clumsy. Read on.
Uncultivated speech.
On what?
Cultivated speech.
What you speak is uncultivated. That's what the definition of the word means, and that's what they say you speak. They're the ones that named it for you. Of what you speak is uncultivated. So they say that black people can't speak. Meanwhile, they say they speak the received pronunciation, meaning the English that they speak is what the Queen speaks, what the royal family speak, and then what you speak is just uncultivated. It's rough. It's of a low class. It's clumsy. That's what they say that you speak, man. So how you speak is offensive to the Queen's English. They don't like the way you speak, man. They don't like patois. They don't like patois. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 41. Yeah, go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them. They shall go into captivity.
Stick with me a minute. Obviously, I'm just going over this for a reason. So now, says your sons and daughters, you won't enjoy them because they're going to go into captivity. Which they did do. They went into captivity. You didn't get to play parents where, you know, you can take your children to Drayton and apart. You got none of those privileges, man. It was just wake up plantation every day. Go ahead.
Thou shalt, okay.
Jump to verse 43.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
And the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Go ahead.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
And he shall lend to thee, because why? Everything is stole from you. He just borrows you, you know. Say he steals £100 from you, just borrows you a tenner, and then puts £30 interest on it. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. Go ahead.
And he shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee.
Actually, jump to verse. Jump to verse 49 for a reason. Jump to verse 49.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
And we didn't understand this man's tongue. So in slavery, how did you learn English? You learn English by what? It being beaten into you, man. Why? The reason why they made you learn English, why? Because the languages that you were speaking, they didn't understand. And they said, maybe if they keep speaking in their language, they might plan a rebellion. We need to make them speak what we speak so we can understand them. So you would learn English. Your children would learn English. And every time you got the English wrong, they would beat you and would beat your children. And this is why when our parents and grandparents came over to England from the Caribbean, this is why they wanted to get rid of the patois, man. This is why they wanted to speak the Queen's English, because they knew how English was beaten into them. They knew how vile this man was, and they knew that he wanted you to become near enough a white Englishman. Pull me up one last video, type in white kids speaking Jamaican, and this is why. Imagine this language got beat into us, and then you see white people trying to do the Jamaican accent like it's funny. I don't find it funny, man. You know how much black people had to get beat for this, and then you people make mockery out of it. I type in white kids speaking Jamaican, and it should come up. So what they do is they mock us and make all these videos, and black people are like, it's so funny. It's not funny, man. It's racist, man. Basically, what they're doing is they're mocking the way you speak, saying you can't speak properly. So we're just going to play this video for you. So can I say that again? Don't hear it. Is there a way that I can? Hold on one sec. We're going to see if we can. If I go on StreamYard on my mode to hear it. Don't hear it. Yeah, all right.
Hello there. Language spoken in Jamaica. What's patois and English? Okay. What are you doing here? It is my Afimi. Where are you going? Come back here. Come back, Yaso. Why did you call me? Look here. Look here. See me here. See me here. I'll repeat that. See me here. See me here. Look at this. Look, Pandy. My mother. Me mama. My father. Me papa. My grandfather. Me grandpapa. Take me there. He got himself dirty. He nasty up himself. What a pretty girl. What a weird you're pretty. Can I have some of that? Give me some of that, no? Let's go over there. Make we go over there, sir. What is that?
And listen, man, that's racist, man. That's not even funny. You know why? Because the way how English was beaten to black people, man, and obviously the way they speak, that's the best we could, come up with. So now that was beat into them, and this devil's making a joke out of it. And what's so racist about it is he's reading the English so calm, and then when it comes to the patois, he's shouting like it's actually all this emphasis, shouting loud. When he's making that like all Jamaicans do, shout when that's a lie, man. He's reading the English so calm and casual, but when it comes to reading the patois, he's shouting and going overboard and whatnot. And then black people see that and laugh and be like, oh, this is so funny. It's not funny, man. He's making a mockery saying, yo, it's funny to speak like black people because it's a low standard. Like, listen, man. What he's doing right there is what white people used to do when they had the minstrel show, man. Dress up in blackface and make a mockery. It's the same thing. This ain't funny, man. Him saying, all black people do, all Caribbean people do is shout, which is a lie. And he thinks it's funny and he's got tons of views from it. And black people are telling him, that's so funny. We need to stand up and say, listen, man, that ain't funny, man. You know how much our ancestors had to get beaten in order for them to learn English and that dialect of it. And this geezer just comes on YouTube and makes a video shouting. Listen, man, it's time for us to separate from this race of people, man. Because when we join them, this is what happens. They get comfortable and they think they can make all these jokes, man. Now, when you look at what we speak, they said what? It's clumsy and it's awkward and it's a low standard of speech. And poor people and people of low education speak the way we speak. And then this guy's coming up and just mocking us for this low education, mocking us for this clumsy speech, mocking us for all this. And people are giving him credit, like laughing like it's funny. It's not funny, man. It's not funny. If he done that video in a Punjabi accident, guess what would happen? If he done that in a Punjabi accident, everyone would be saying that's racist. But when it comes to black people, it's not racist and it's funny. When it comes to us, there's always a funny side. There's always a funny side. So I can say that again. This is what? Yeah, exactly, man. Same with LEG, disrespecting black people and made a ton of money off it, man. About his calling them Julie and whatnot. He made a ton of money off it, man. LEG's whole famous. Why? Because he pretended he was black, man. Behaving like black people. His whole concept was what? Behaving like black people with the gold chains on, speaking the patois. And we laugh and find it funny, like it's hilarious. When it's not hilarious, man. The whole world is making a mockery out of us. And we allow them to make a mockery out of us, man. Because we go and support them. We need to stop supporting them, man. Because as long as we support them, there's going to be more LEGs making a killing. There's going to be more of that little white boy making a killing, man. Go ahead. And black people laughed and found it funny when you say, "What you turn me on with your big Babylons and this nonsense, me Julie." And black people's like, "Yo, they liked it. Used to love the LEG show. Everybody makes money off us, man. Like that woman that made the jerk shop off us, man. Her, LEG, and that white boy all know how to steal cultures and make money off it, man. And with that brings us to the end of the class. We open the time.